Hello and welcome to Richard August, the autistic Christian MGTOW, the red pill man who lights it up blue. This is Yea, the Bible saith this. Today's Bible readings are from Daniel chapters 4, 5, and 6. As always, they're from my 1560 edition of the Geneva Bible, and we begin in prayer. Lord, open thou our hearts to hear, and by thy word to us draw near. Let us thy word still pure retain. Let us thy children and heirs remain in Jesus' name. Amen. Daniel chapter 4. I, Nebuchadnezzar, being at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace, saw a dream which made me afraid. And the thoughts upon my bed, and the visions of mine head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree that they should bring all the wise men of Babel before me, that they might declare unto me the interpretation of the dream. So came the enchanters, the astrologians, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, to whom I told the dream, but they could not show me the interpretation thereof. Till at the last Daniel came before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, which hath the spirit of the holy gods in him. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, chief of the enchanters, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee, tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. Thus were the visions of mine head in my bed. And behold, I saw a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great, a great tree and strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the ends of all the earth. The boughs thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, and it made a shadow under it for the beasts of the field, and for the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh fed of it. I saw in the visions of mine head upon my bed, and behold, a watchman and an holy one came down from heaven, and cried aloud, and said thus, Hew down the tree, and break off his branches, shake off his leaves, and scatter his fruit, that the beasts may flee from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless leave the stump of his roots in the earth, and with a band of iron and brass bind it among the grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts among the grass of the field. Let his heart be changed from man's nature, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times be passed over him. The sentence is according to the decree of the watchmen, and according to the word of the holy ones. The demand was answered, to the intent that living men may know that ye Most High hath power over the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and appointeth over it the most abject among men. This is the dream that I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Therefore thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, for all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to show me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, held his peace by the space of 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. And the king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let neither the dream nor the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree yet thou sawest, which was great and mighty, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof through all the world, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven did sit. It is thou, O king, yet art great and mighty. For thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the ends of the earth. Whereas the king saw a watchman and an holy one that came down from heaven, and said, Hew down the tree, and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, and with a band of iron and brass Bind it among the grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and it is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as ye oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High beareth rule over the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Whereas they said that one should leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall remain unto thee. After that thou shalt know that the heavens have the rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by mercy toward the poor. Lo, let there be an healing of thine error. All these things shall come upon ye king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the royal palace of Babel, and the king spake and said, Is not this great Babel that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty? While ye word was in the king's mouth, a voice came down from heaven, saying, O king Nebuchadnezzar, to thee be it spoken, thy kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling place shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as the oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou knowest that ye Most High beareth rule over the kingdom of men, and giveth it unto whomsoever he will. The very same hour was this thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as the oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown as eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. And at the end of these days I, Nebuchadnezzar, lift up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding was restored unto me, and I gave thanks unto the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose power is an everlasting power, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and according to his will he worketh in the army of heaven, and in the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, What doest thou? At the same time was mine understanding restored unto me, and I returned to the honor of my kingdom. My glory and my beauty was restored unto me, and my counselors and my princes sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and my glory was augmented toward me. Now therefore I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and magnify the King of heaven, whose works are all truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. Daniel chapter 5. King Belshazzar made a great feast to 1,000 of his princes, and drank wine before the 1,000. And Belshazzar, whiles he tasted the wine, commanded to bring him the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had brought from the temple in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wife, and his concubines might drink therein. Then were brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the Lord's house at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drunk wine, and praised the gods of gold, and of silver, of brass, of iron, and of wood, and of stone. At the same hour appeared fingers of a man's hand, which wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, and the king saw the palm of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against the other. Wherefore the king cried loud that they should bring the astrologians, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babel, Whosoever can read this writing, and declare me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with purple, and shall have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came all the king's wise men, but they could neither read the writing nor show the king the interpretation. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his princes were astonied. Now the queen, by reason of the talk of the king, and his princes came into the banquet house, and the queen spake, and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made chief of the enchanters, astrologians, Chaldeans, and soothsayers, because of more excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, for he did expound dreams and declare hard sentences, and dissolved doubts were found in him, even in Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will declare the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel, which are of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom my father the king brought out of Jewry? Now I have heard of thee, that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. Now therefore wise men and astrologians have been brought before me, that they should read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof, but they could not declare the interpretation of the thing. Then heard I of thee that thou couldest show interpretations, and dissolve doubts. Now if thou canst read the writing, and show me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with purple, and shalt have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Keep thy rewards to thyself, and give thy gifts to another, yet I will read the writing unto the king, and show him the interpretation. O king, hear thou. The Most High God gave unto Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and honor, and glory. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled, and feared before him. He put to death whom he would. He smote whom he would. Whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was puffed up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his honor from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of the heaven, till he knew that the Most High God bare rule over the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomsoever he pleaseth. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all these things, but hast lift thyself up against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee. Thou and thy princes, thy wives and thy concubines, have drunk wine in them. And thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor understand. And the God in whose hand thy breath is, and all thy ways, him hast thou not glorified. Then was the palm of the hand sent from him, and hath written this writing. And this is the writing that he hath written: Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom, and hath finished it. Tekel, Thou art weighed in the balance and art found too light. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then at the commandment of Belshazzar they clothed Daniel with purple and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. The same night was Belshazzar, ye king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius of the Medes took ye kingdom, being 62 years old. Daniel chapter 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 governors, which should be over ye whole kingdom, and over these 3 rulers, of whom Daniel was one, that the governors might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no domage. Now this Daniel was preferred above the rulers and governors, because the spirit was excellent in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Wherefore the rulers and governors sought an occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for he was so faithful that there was no blame nor fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find an occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Therefore the rulers and these governors went together to the king, and said unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the rulers of thy kingdom, the officers and governors, the counselors and dukes, have consulted together to make a decree for the king, and to establish a statute, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, confirm the decree, and seal the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius sealed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel understood that he had sealed the writing, he went into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and praised his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication unto his God. So they came, and spake unto the king concerning the king's decree, Hast thou not sealed the decree, that every man that shall make request to any god or man within 30 days, save to thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they, and said unto the king, This Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast sealed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. When the king heard these words, he was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the sun went down to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Understand, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians, that no decree nor statute which the king confirmeth may be altered. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake, and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou always servest, even he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought, and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and the signet of his princes, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went unto his palace, and remained fasting. Neither were the instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose early in the morning, and went in all haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake, and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, the servant of the living God, is not thy God, whom thou always servest, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto ye king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For my justice was found out before him, and unto thee, O king, I have done no hurt. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel out of the den. So Daniel was brought out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And by the commandment of the king, these men which had accused Daniel were brought, and were cast into ye den of lions, even they, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones a pieces, or ever they came at the ground of the den. Afterward King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the world, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in all the dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and remaineth forever, and his kingdom shall not perish, and his dominion shall be everlasting. He rescueth and delivereth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth. Who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions? So this Daniel prospered in ye reign of Darius, and in ye reign of Cyrus of Persia. May God add his richest blessing to this reading of his holy word. Thank you for watching and listening. This has been Richard August, the autistic Christian MGTOW, the red pill man who lights it up blue. I invite you to like and share this video with others, as well as to subscribe to my video channels, and I invite you to come back tomorrow for further reading in the book of Daniel.